Hello and good evening. My name is Sabrina Brightstar. You can find out more about me at sabrinabrightstar.com. You're invited to join us for Saibo. We're playing the Saibo game. It was the game gifted to the Essasanis from the Syrians to help pull in synchronicities, to start vibrating, to start rearranging your day-to-day life through synchronicity. The language of the future will be synchronicity. So we're playing now on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we're also playing on Sundays, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's super easy. Just go to sabrinabrightstar.com. You'll get the Discord site, and then you just log in. If you can play, you play. If you can't, you can't. If you happen to show up on a random day and hour and you want to play, just hop on the site. See if there happens to be somebody at that exact moment who wants to play too. It's been my intention to just have a free game where there's no leaders, no hierarchy, whoever is inspired to gather with like-minded soul friends, star friends, whatever term you like. Some people don't like terms, so whatever makes you feel good. It's a great opportunity to meet people around the world, to get to play the game of synchronicity, and to get to be connected and hear stories from like-minded family. So speaking of that, should we talk about Disclosure Day, the movie? So Disclosure Day, I was so excited about Disclosure Day, right? I was so excited, really wanted to go, had it all planned to go. Well, then the trailer came out. And the trailer went like, I'm like, and like my body didn't feel good. And I thought, well, that's okay, I can still watch it. But my body, big thing, my body gave me a signal. My body gave me a signal and I tried to bypass it. So what I've discovered, many of us who are sensitive, empaths, way showers, conscious light workers, whatever word you like to use, many of us have an advanced operating system. We're from the future, so we function different. Our brains work different. Some people call it ADHD, some people call it being on the spectrum. I don't care what the label is. I just know that my body is super sensitive and my imagination is my superpower. So if I see something, even if my mind says this isn't real, it's a movie, my body feels as if it's real. And those images get locked in my imagination, and it's hard for me to release them. So I have learned to try to be very kind to my body by not forcing or overriding what doesn't feel safe in my body. So even though a movie, like we know it's right, man-made movie, we know it's not, quote, real, my body still feels the discomfort as if it is. So I did catch that the trailer made me uncomfortable, but I was still going to go. And then I heard somebody talking and they were sharing their point of view, that they were wondering, they hadn't seen the movie yet, but they were wondering if the movie is going to project fear on humans, so humans will be afraid of disclosure, will be afraid of something traumatic happening to them. What if the movie is another trick to tell you a story that's not based in reality or real thing to, right? Because fear is one of the best super weapons in the world, right? If you can get someone afraid, they stay small. They stay, they won't rebel. They won't ask questions. They won't go outside the box, right? Fear is a powerful tool, and we've seen it, right? We've seen it in a lot of the hierarchy systems. We've seen it in religion, right? I was very religious. I was so afraid Jehovah was going to be mad at me. I was so afraid my parents would be mad at me. I was so afraid my husband would be mad at me, right? Fear controlled me and kept me small, kept me in my place, kept me, limited. So if you feel fear, first of all, on it, like that's your body's trying to give you information, something doesn't feel safe. And then I think it's so fun, then we get to ask the questions if you're available to ask the question. So I had heard this person say they had made the decision that they weren't going to go because they didn't know if the movie was going to project a fear on them, and then their body would have this fear like overlay, right? Like a fear manipulation put on you. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's like, that made sense to me. And especially me, because I have so many amazing stories of soul family, of star family, of my star brothers and sisters. I've had so many encounters, and they've all felt really, 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 really good. And so I don't need proof that our star family exists. I already know that they exist. And I don't want to go in and possibly be manipulated into like now all of a sudden becoming afraid when I'm so proud to be a part of disclosure. I am so proud to be a part of disclosure, because all of my disclosure experiences have been beautiful, kind, loving, wonderful, heart-opening, heart-expanding. So I was aware of that. So then I made the conscious choice. I'm not going to go initially. And I can change my mind, but I decided I was going to wait for feedback, wait to find out, like, what are other people saying, like, right? Because we can always change our mind. I can always change my mind, but I decided for the wisdom, for me, for the kindness of my body, to not go initially, not go opening weekend, and rather just pull back, put it on pause, and wait. So then I waited, right? So then the feedback, I've heard a variety of different feedback. What I'm kind of tracking, the pattern that I'm kind of seeing, and this isn't absolute, it's just a pattern I'm noticing, is the people that are very evolved or very knowing, or they remembered their sovereignty. They remember, right, that we have galactic brothers and sisters. The people that have more memory, some people say they're, like they're, one time somebody said, like, oh, you're more advanced. And I'm like, no, I just remember more. Because we all have the memories inside of us. We all have, right? We all have the abilities inside of us. That's why I call it sovereignty remembered. Because no one person is more special to get more skills or more contact. No. We all equally have all of our memories, our activations, our multidimensional abilities, but they have to be unlocked from the inside out. So some people just remember more. Sovereignty remembered, right? Sovereignty remembered. That's all it is. So I noticed that people who remember more of the truth of who they are, of their multidimensionality, talked about feeling disappointed. And it makes sense, because if you've already remembered a lot, like, to go back and have it to be a slow session of chasing to try to get to the, the final, like, what this is, like, of course that makes sense to me that they would feel disappointed or underwhelmed is a word I've heard. They were underwhelmed. Whereas a different person I was talking to, he shared, and I thought this was brilliant, he thought the movie was awesome, but he was looking at the movie from the point of view of what seeds did that movie plant for humanity. And he brought up, from his point of view, when you watch that movie, the way it was told, you question, is the government telling us the truth? And when you can when you can just start to question authority, that's huge. Like, that's huge. Like, that when you open up that door, that you don't just open up a door to a room or a house, you open up a door to a whole new reality. When you can start asking the questions, is what we've been taught, is it true? Or have I been lied to? Ooh, if you can get to the place of asking, have I been lied to? And one of the reasons humans don't want to ask those questions, the way our brain is made, we have what is called a reticular activating system. And your reticular activating system's job is to make you right. So if you grew up aligning and agreeing with your teachers, your parents, your religion, whomever, your reticular activating system wants you to be right about what you chose to agree with. So that's why, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of people have a hard time saying I was wrong. A lot of people have a hard time saying I don't know. A lot of people have a hard time like acknowledging or admitting uncertainty. Why? Because the reticular activating system has, it like kind of pushes them to be right, because that's its purpose. That's what it's designed to do. It makes you right about what you've chosen to agree with. So when you can say, I don't know, when you can say, is this the truth? When you can say, I'm confused, I believe I am confused is a superpower. Because when you say I am confused, you collapse a structure. You collapse, right? Because we live in a, like this, we're in a time-space structure. Things are structured, they're locked in. And then possibilities can't come, right? Other options can't be introduced. Other ideas can't land because you're definite. You put, I call it period consciousness or comma consciousness. If you say, I am right, you are wrong, period. Like there can't be any other option right there. It's a period. If you say, I am right, you are wrong, comma, then, right, then it's not a solid. You haven't locked it into a structure. I am right, you are wrong, comma, and I'm open to seeing if this is, I'm open to seeing if I misunderstood it. I'm open to seeing new ways of looking at this. I'm open to exploring other ideas. See, a comma just lets the door stay open, right? A comma opens a door. A comma, it is such a superpower. That's why I call it comma consciousness, right? Long time ago, I wrote the book about intuition is calling, right? Intuition is calling. Please text or answer back. And so when you can feel safe enough to say, I don't know, because you gotta have a lot of inside safety, a lot of inside power to not be embarrassed or ashamed or prideful, right? Because it's the people who are prideful that don't want to be wrong. It's the people who like want to hold on so tight to what I agreed with what my minister said, and that's got to be the truth. And they'll fight you tooth and nail because they want to be right. That's pride. It's a form of pride, and it's your reticular activating system. So when you can say, okay, I'm gonna loosen up my point of view about being right or wrong. I'm gonna spend a week walking around saying, I don't know, I'm confused. I don't know, I'm confused. I don't know. What do you know? What do you think? What have you heard? That's why questions are so amazing, because you get to find out, right? You get to find out all these other possibilities. Like I meet people and they'll say, we can't talk about religion or we can't talk about politics because then we'll fight. And I'm like, why would we fight? We're like grown-ass adults and we have critical thinking and we can agree to disagree. Like it's common sense. Conversations should be common sense. Let me say that again. Conversations should be common sense. And we don't have to align and agree. We can, oh, that's interesting. Never looked at it that way before. Right? There's so many points of view. There's so many perspectives. There's so many, your life created all of your point of views, and no one else will live your life the way you've lived it, what you've gone through. So no one can really understand why you have all your beliefs. So if you would just take a week, a month, and just start walking around going, is like, I've always thought this, is that true? I wonder if that's true. I wonder if this is true. Okay, so going back to the movie, and this isn't disrespectful, but when we saw Harry Potter, like the Muggles had no awareness of the wizards. The Muggles never said like, hey, is there a reality of wizards? Hey, is there a reality where people have other skill sets than me? Right? But so to plant seeds to get the Muggles to start asking questions, that's beautiful. That's a win. That's a huge fucking win. That's a huge door that's opening. So not only do we gently want to introduce new ideas to people who have been fabulous followers, fabulous, right? Like they don't think outside the box. They're wired to be a follower, to feel safe, to play small. Like for them to start going, oh, I wonder, is this true? Was this a lie? If there was more to this story, what other areas could there be more to the story? And I think that's beautiful. I think that's a genius. So the movie, maybe it was, I don't know the intentions of the movie. I have no idea. But I love thinking about the movie as a win for opening up people's awareness to start to question, hey, have we been lied to? Hey, is there more to the story? And then my friend also said there's a character in the story who's very religious. And it shows you how the person really is struggling, because if you've been raised with one Christian narrative and then now all of a sudden there's a different part of your origin story is changed, right? It's discombobulating, it's confusing. So if we can lean into being confused, and we can say I can say, oh, I'm so glad the Muggles are getting confused. And I also want to know, where am I still confused? Right? Just because I remember some things, my consciousness might be wider than a Muggle. I still, where am I still inside traps? Where am I still inside of automatic programming? Where am I still buying, or what is it called, drinking the Kool-Aid? So I love leaning into, this is confusing. I'm confused. What else is here? And then you can talk to your higher self, right? Because when you put out the invitation, your higher self, because you're ready, you're asking, higher self, show me where else I'm confused. Higher self, show me where else am I playing small. Higher self, show me where else am I trapping myself in a limitation program. And then higher self gets to show you that, right? Because your higher self knows all of the places, all of the nooks and crannies of your belief systems, of your operating system, your unique customized operating system, your higher self knows. So when you're ready to question and ask and explore, and just because you go and explore doesn't mean you have to now move there. So with Disclosure Day, just because people maybe now start to say oh, I wonder, are there beings that live on other planets? Just because you ask the question doesn't mean all of a sudden now you have to align and agree and that's your new belief system, right? A question doesn't mean you have to align and agree. A question means you're exploring. And what if we could become a reality that just starts exploring? What if we could just start asking questions like, hey, you believe in this political party, or hey, you believe in this religious system? What if we just started asking questions for the sake of exploring, for more awareness and understanding of how other people's designs are, how other people's operating systems are? Not to judge it as right or wrong, or to be a minister or a preacher and try to convince people. I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, it was our job to manipulate other people's beliefs, because we were taught that our beliefs were the one and only right belief. So I would spend my time for free in the door-to-door ministry, knocking on doors, talking to strangers, intentionally trying to manipulate their beliefs, because I thought I was saving their life. I didn't do it for a cruel reason. I sincerely believed what the organization taught me. And at that time, I believed Jehovah's Witnesses were the only people in the world that would survive, and they were the chosen ones. The chosen ones. Can't stand that word, chosen ones. If you believe in oneness, how the hell does someone get to be the chosen one? Oh, that annoys me. Can you tell? Triggers me. So, but I intentionally tried to manipulate people, and I'm really good at it, right? Because I really believed in it. So my authenticity came through. And so I brought a lot of people into the organization, and what I learned from the situation, right? Nobody joins a cult, you join a good thing, until common sense is what helped me break my way out of it. But the point of it is, we tend to, when we think we're right and we hold so tightly to what we believe is right, then we try so hard to persuade and to project and to manipulate other people to have our same point of view. So what if, like, Disclosure Day and what's happening right now with all these extremes, right? These extreme beliefs, extreme left, extreme right, these extreme, like, so divisive. What if we just started becoming curious and confused? That would collapse all of the extremes. You want to collapse the extremes, become curious and confused, and start with you. Yeah, right? Like, it's easy to look at other people and go, oh, well, how could they not believe that? Or how could they think that? They're so, like, blah, blah. Well, like, self-reflect. Let the man in the mirror, right? Look at the woman in the mirror. Like, inner being, higher self, show me, where am I still confused? Where am I still contracted? Where am I still operating from a program, an automatic belief system? Where have I not questioned? Where have I not explored? What beliefs could serve me better? Maybe this belief works, but is there a belief that would work better? Is there a belief that would make your life easier? I don't know. It's just a question. Open-ended questions. I love open-ended questions. So I'm dazzled by what I've heard. Oh, then here's the other great thing I heard. Billy Carson, he shared his takeaway. I'll put his video in here too. And his video is amazing because he actually had contact, and he tells you his story. And his contact happened in 2009. So for a person who actually had this scary type of contact, he tells what has happened to him as a result of being scared, like literally scared, and it affected him and his whole family. He mentioned he has a son that is afraid of him because nobody knew what had happened to him, and they thought, he'd gone crazy when he started trying to tell his family what had happened. But he articulates it so well, and then he shares his point of view about Disclosure Day, and it just touched my heart. It's so beautiful. And I don't know, I feel like so many pieces of the puzzle are just coming together. We're getting more pieces of the puzzle. We're getting more understanding. We're having more compassion, more awareness of all the different layers and levels of how contact is happening, right? 'Cause everybody's got a different contact disclosure experience. And we want to honor all of the past, all of the things that have happened. And if some people are more afraid, some people have more fear, we want to have compassion for that, right? Like when I heard Billy's story, right? My heart, oh my gosh. And then I felt like, oh my God, I'm so glad that didn't happen to me, right? And we know from a higher perspective, our soul agreed to what our story is, right? We agreed to how we wanted this incarnation to unfold. So there's no victims, never a victim. And I don't know, I just feel like this awareness and this compassion and this I don't know mentality, right? I don't know mentality is a superpower. I do not know. Can you say it? I don't know. Can you say I was wrong? Can you say it? I was wrong. This week, go around and start saying you were wrong. Don't tell people. But when you're talking to your kids, go, oh, I was so wrong. Oh, I was wrong. Tell your partner, right? Tell your partner, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You see, you don't hear that, right? You don't hear that. So what if we could just break down these barriers and we could just be confused? I don't know. I'm confused. I was wrong. What would happen? So anyway, join us for Cybo. I'd love to meet you. SabrinaBrightstar.com. Have a good evening.